Hey everybody, Rob Jamweb here for Waxadisc, and I'm going to show you how to get your track started today. How many of you out there create little loops like what you will see on the screen in a minute? You've got a little sketch going, but you just can't quite get yourself to start the arrangement. You're not quite sure how to start the track. So I'm going to help you with that and show you how I do it and how you can apply these to your own track. So if you're stuck on one of your tracks, you've got a little sketch going, a little loop bar going, but you need to break out of that loop bar and get the whole arrangement down, then let me show you how I do it, and you can copy this as well and use it going forwards for your own music. Let's crack on. So as you can see on the screen here, look, I've got a kick, a tops loop, a sample loop, which I'll play in a minute, some hi-hats, a snap, finger snaps, a bass, a crash, and a triangle, and some congas, which are taken from the Waxadisc samples pack, which I'll show you in a bit. So this track here goes like this. Simple sort of French disco house thing. I've played the bass line in on top of this loop, and this loop is here. It's in an E flat, and I've looped the first part of it. When it kicks into the second half here in the yellow section, and there you go. So it's kind of a little loop from a samples pack. But anyway, it's not from my samples pack. It's an old one. But I thought I'd just use that for royalty-free purposes. So I've built the rest of this, the drums around this as well. And that's that. So I've not done any mixing or anything like that whatsoever. I just wanted to get this ready so that I can show you how to break out of the loop that you're stuck in. So normally what I would do, I'll have all of these drum elements. What I would do is I would take my groove loop, which is my tops loop, and I would have that play for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now normally, depending on the length of the track, I would bring in a kick there after 16 kicks. So based on the fact that most dance tracks, most disco house tracks now are 6.5 minutes long, as opposed to being 7.5 minutes long like they used to be. A lot of them have really cut down now to 6.5. So I'm going to bring the kick in there after 16 kicks, 16 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and repeat. So 16. Then at that point, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to introduce something like the finger snaps, like this. For the next set of 16, then at this point, I'm going to introduce the hi-hats, okay, which is just a simple closed and open hat. And I'm going to bung that on top as well, and then I'm going to keep the groove loop going as well. So you got kick and the groove loop, finger snaps. I'm just going to put some reverb on that, just get a bit of life. There you go. Then the hi-hats. Going to lower the volume. Leave that to play as it is. Then from there on, at that point, I'm going to build the drums even more for another 32 beats, okay? So at that point, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. At 45 mark there, I'm going to bring in the triangle. Sorry, not the triangle. I'm going to bring in the conga. So I've got these congas here at the 45 mark, and these are taken from the Waxadisc samples pack, which you can see here. Look, this is the Ultimate Waxadisc samples pack, and it's got all of these in there. So, you know, the link is in the description at the bottom. It's only £5 for a startup fee. If you're just getting into disco house or you want some fresh samples, it's in the link below at only a £5. Should be 20 quid, but it's £5. Anyway, enough plugging. So I'm going to bring in some congas here like so. Then what I'm going to do is this. Then at that point, I'm going to bring the crash in just there, like that. I should have a crash perhaps at the start as well. You can have a crash on every transition. Usually does help. So bring in a crash there, there. Not so much there, but there. Okay, so every time something new comes in or something drops out, add a crash. Okay, and then at this point, we're going to drop down everything. Keep going with the snaps. So we're going to keep the snaps going for 16, for 32 beats basically. Keep the hi-hats going for 32. Keep the tops loop going for 32, and the congas going as well, like that. But we're going to drop the kick out. Okay, so that's where we get to the first point where we can start to bring in the loop. Okay, so that's bit there. We're going to grab the loop, and I'm going to create the loop so it's been chopped in half, so it goes like this, like so. And then I'm going to copy that over 1, 2, and 3 there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But obviously put everything on it, and we'll copy it over again for another round if you like. Let me just get this straight. Oh, I've done there anyway. So pull that across, and then I should loop my congas really, but for the purposes of this, I'm not going to. I'm going to add an auto filter to the loop so that we've got something to work with, so that we can filter it up, and we turn that on. We're going to automate the auto loop on the auto filter, bring it down. But then what we're going to do at this point is we're going to lose the hi-hats on a filter as well. So I'm going to put an auto filter on the hi-hats too, and then we're going to filter them down. As the loop comes up, we're going to filter the frequency of the hats down. So let's push that up to the ceiling, and then just bring that down like that. So when one comes up, one drops out, just so that it gives a little bit of momentum. Okay, and that's going to go like this. Then at that point, we'll keep the loop going again, and this time it will kind of come into full frequency almost. So it'll almost be clear and not filtered. So we'll bring that over for 4 more. And then at this point, we'll lose the hi-hats. We'll keep the snaps going. Okay. Congas might drop out. I'm not sure, but let's just copy them over anyway. Put 4 of them over. Put a crash in again where it drops out. Then at this point, we're going to bring in something different, like some triangles, just to give it a bit of kind of magic, I suppose, a bit more, you know, excitement. And it's going to go like this, okay? Then you're ready to go into your main part of your track, which will be the red loop again, okay, because I'm going to keep this loop going because you've got to build momentum. The thing is, when you're making a track and you're arranging it, you don't want to give away everything too soon. Once you do that, I've seen many people that they put a track together and they throw it all in there really quickly. All the drums come in straight away, and you've got to build that excitement and that momentum. So we'll put that across there like this, and then we'll bring the kicks back in. So I'm just basically going to grab this whole section here, from here like this. So I'm just going to quickly whip that across like that, just for the sake of this. Okay, hi-hats should be in, that's fine, they're in full frequency again. Okay, so then you can bring your bass in, your loop bass, on top of your loop, because you've got that one note bass note playing. Because in my bass, look, I've got a solo bass here like this, look. Just one note of the D sharp, the E flat. And that's going to build momentum with the loop. And that's how you're going to get going with your track. So let's have a look at what we've got. So going back to the start, we've got a crash and the groove loop, okay? So it's like your tops loop. The crash has got no reverb on it as such, so put some on. Then your kicks come in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Snap. 2, 4. So every 16 until the hi-hats. And then you do that for another round of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Another 16, and then your congas come in. Or another instrument, another sound you use. Do that for 32. Obviously you can have sound effects in there to make it exciting as well, but this is just the bare bones to get you going. Then the loop drops, hi-hat filters, snaps carry on, congas carry on. Obviously you'll have sound effects, as I say. Bring in some triangles, make it a little bit exciting. Don't forget you might have a snare here, or a reverse crash, or a drum fill, or a white noise riser. 1, 2, 3, then the bass. And that's it. That's the best way and the quickest way to break out of a loop that you've created. So you've created a whole loop with some drums and you've got bass. You've got all your ideas in there, but you just need to split it back apart and layer it out into the arrangement. And that's the best way to do it. That's the bare bones of it, you know. So you're not doing your white noise and your bushes and your snare rolls and your drum fills and your sound effects or your vocal snippets. You know, that can come later once you've broke out of that initial loop. Because I know so many people that come to me and they're stuck in loops and they just can't get out of it because they feel they're overwhelmed by the amount of sounds they've got. So all you've got to do is get your bare bones, your framework out and arranged like that. Just whack it out, plonk it out bit by bit, every 16, every 32 kicks, beats, you know, and layer it out and introduce something new, remove something, add a crash for every transition almost, every, you know, 32 beats, and just build it that way. And obviously don't come straight in with the whole loop. You see, I'm not going to come in with this loop, with the whole loop and the two different bass notes. Does sound a bit weird, that does. That second bass note, it is right, but it just sounds a bit odd. But anyway, you get the idea. This is just for purposes only of examples. But you don't bring in your whole loop straight away. You don't come in with it. You've got to build an initial loop and then get to the next part where you're going to bring it all in. You have a bigger drop, bigger filter drop, and bring it up. So that's the best way to break out. If you're struggling with this sort of stuff, give me a shout. Head over to the link at the bottom and you can see all the mentoring packages that I have and I'll gladly help you with it. So take these ideas from here. Check out the Waxadisc samples pack as well. If you can see it there, you've got loads and loads of options. You've got disco toms, you've got funk leads, all at different tempos, 110, 120, 125, I think. You've got orchestra stabs, you've got MIDI files, brass, drum loops, piano riffs, you name it, it's all in there. So grab that as well, have a look at that if that's something of interest to you. Only £5 as an offer there. So yeah, that's how you break out of a bar loop. You know, get out of your loops, get into the arrangement mode and get your tracks finished. And that's the whole point. Give me a shout if you need anything, drop a comment. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.